Now we will differentiate the metals and non-metals on the basis of their physical properties. The first physical property on which we'll done this differentiation is physical state. There are three physical states of matter, the solids, liquid and the gases. And the most of the metals are found in solid state. The metals are generally solid in nature, except mercury, its symbol is Hg, is the only metal which is liquid at room temperature. Mercury is the only metal which is liquid at room temperature. This we'll study in our previous classes as well. Next, non-metals. They occur in all the states of matter. All the states means some of the non-metals are solids, some are liquids and some are gases as well. For example, the solid non-metals are sulfur, phosphorus. These are certain examples of solid non-metals. The examples of gaseous non-metals are nitrogen in the form of N2, oxygen gas in the form of O2, chlorine is also a gas, Cl2. So these are the non-metals which occur in gaseous forms. And the last one, liquid form, a very important one. Bromine is the only non-metal which is found in liquid state in the nature. So generally metals are found in solid state, whereas non-metals found in the solid, liquid as well as in the gaseous form. Next property on which we differentiate the metal and non-metal is malleability and brittleness. First we'll discuss what is malleability. The property of an element due to which it can be converted into thin sheets when we hammered them, that property is known as malleability. Malleability वो property है बच्चों जिसमें एक element को जब हम एक hammer से beat करते हैं तो वो thin बिल्कुल पतली चादरों में convert हो जाता है. It is converted into thin sheets. That is known as malleability. And then what is brittleness? The antagonistic of it. The exact opposite term of it, bache. Whensoever we beat an element with the hammer, then it will broken down into powdered form. That is known as brittleness. Metals are malleable in nature. They can be converted into thin sheets by hammering, except. The exceptions are very important, bache. Sodium and potassium. The K is the symbol of potassium, and sodium has a symbol Na. These two metals are non-malleable. They cannot be converted into thin sheets, and non-metals are non-malleable, or you can say they are brittle in nature. They're broken down into small powdered form, into small pieces when they hammer. Third property on which we differentiate them is ductility. First we'll discuss what is ductility. The property of an element due to which an element can be converted into thin and fine long wires. That property is known as ductility. ये वो प्रॉपर्टी है बच्चे जिसमें हम एक एलिमेंट को थिन और लंबी और पतली वायर्स में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. दैट प्रॉपर्टी इज नोन एज डक्टिलिटी. मैलेबिलिटी क्या था? कन्वर्टेड इनटू थिन शीट्स, एंड दैट इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू थिन एंड लॉन्ग एंड फाइन वायर्स. Metals are ductile in nature. The most ductile element or metal is gold. 1 gram of gold can be withdrawn into 2 किलोमीटर लॉन्ग वायर। 1 ग्राम गोल्ड से हम 2 किलोमीटर लंबी वायर बना सकते हैं बच्चे। दैट इज व्हाट द हाई डेंसिटी डक्टिलिटी ऑफ gold is. But there are certain exceptions to this as well. Sodium and potassium are neither malleable nor ductile. Neither they can be converted into thin sheets, nor they can be withdrawn into thin and long fine wires. Next, non-metals are brittle, or you can say they are non-ductile. They cannot be converted or withdrawn into thin and long wires. The fourth one, luster, means shine. The property due to which the surface of an element gives a shiny appearance is known as luster. Metals are lustrous in nature. They have a shiny appearance, bache. They reflect the light up to a large extent, and due to that reflection of light from their surface, their appearance gives us a shiny appearance. Whereas non-metals are non-lustrous, or you can say they are dull in nature. They do not have a shiny appearance, except, and a very important one, bache. The exception is iodine is the only non-metal which has a shiny appearance. Along with iodine, diamond is also there, which is made up of carbon, and carbon is a non-metal, and diamond also gives us a shiny appearance. But the surface of diamond is not shiny. It gives us that shine because of the internal reflection of light. That is the phenomena that we will discuss later on. So these are the exceptions of the luster nature in case of non-metals, iodine and diamond. If you have to choose one out of the iodine and diamond, then most appropriate answer would be iodine only. The next feature on which we differentiate between the metal and non-metal is conductivity of electricity. That is whether they conduct electricity or not. They allow the electric current or electric energy to pass through them or not. Metals are good conductors of electricity. They allow the electric charges, electric current to pass through them very easily. That is why the electric wires are made up of copper, silver, and aluminium. But the wires of silver are very costly, so they are not easily available. The wires of silver are used in the solar panels nowadays. So silver is the best conductor of electricity, but we cannot make the wires of silver because it is very expensive. Whereas non-metals are poor conductors or insulators of electricity. They do not allow electric current, electric energy to pass through them, except there is one non-metal which is found in the form of graphite. Which non-metal? Carbon. So graphite is made up of carbon. Carbon is a non-metal. Graphite can conduct electricity. So graphite is the only non-metal which can conduct electricity. Next property on which we differentiate them is conductivity of heat. Whether they are good conductors of heat or not. Same bache. Metals are good conductors of heat, and that is why the cooking utensils are either made up of aluminium or iron, because they are the good conductors of electricity. They are metals, and metals are good conductors of electricity, except lead. Lead is the only non-metal which is a poor conductor of heat. It is the only metal which do not conduct heat properly. So metals are good conductors of electricity as well as they are good conductors of heat. That is the reason why the cooking utensils are made up of metals. So there is exception. It's a very important exception for your exam, bache. Name a metal which is not a good conductor of heat, that is lead. If someone asks you the two examples of metal which are not good conductors as the other metals, so along with the lead you can write the mercury as well. But if you have to choose one out of these two, the appropriate answer would be lead. Next, non-metals are poor conductors of heat. They do not conduct heat in appropriate amount. So they are poor conductors of heat. The next one, melting and boiling point. What is melting and boiling point? The temperature at which a solid will starts to convert into liquid is known as melting point, and the temperature value at which a liquid will be starts to convert into gaseous form, that is known as, that temperature value is known as boiling point. Metals have high melting and boiling point. They are quite hard in nature. That is why their melting and boiling point is high. Except exceptions are there. Gallium has a melting point approximately 30 degrees Celsius, and cesium. Cesium is the metal which even melts in our palm. अगर बच्चों हम सीजियम लें, थोड़ा सा उसे अपने हाथ की मुट्ठी में बंद कर लें, तो हाथ की मुट्ठी से इतनी हीट ले लेगा कि उससे ही मेल्ट हो जाएगा. Its melting point is approximately 28 degrees Celsius. That heat can be given by our palm only. So, name a metal which melts into our palm, that is cesium. The symbol is CS, capital C and small s. Whereas non-metals have low melting point and low boiling point. Except diamond. Diamond is also made up of carbon as graphite. But diamond does not conduct electricity. Diamond is the hardest natural known substance on the earth, and its melting point is quite high. Its melting point is approximately near to 3500 degrees Celsius. So it's a quite high melting and boiling point. Bache. Next one. The next property on which we differentiate the metal and non-metal is hardness. Metals are hard in nature, except lithium. The symbol of lithium is Li, sodium Na, and potassium. These three metals are known as soft metals. These three are the metals which can be easily cut with the help of a knife. Otherwise, usually metals are hard in nature. Non-metals are soft in nature. They are not that much of hard nature as that of metals, except diamond. Diamond is the hardest natural known substance on the earth, and this is the non-metal. This is the example of the non-metal, which is hard. Next, tensile strength. Tensile strength means mazbuti, sudrita, which does not break easily. Metals have high tensile strength. Their tensile strength is quite high, quite large. They do not break easily, except lithium, sodium and potassium. These are the metals which have very low tensile strength. They can easily break. They can easily cut into various parts by the help of even a knife. Whereas non-metals have low tensile strength, except diamond. Diamond's tensile strength is quite high. So these are the properties on which we differentiate the metals and non-metals. Next property on which we differentiate the metal and non-metal is sonority. What is sonority? The property of an element due to which it produces a ringing sound when it hit hard, that is known as sonority. It is the property due to which whensoever we struck an element hard, then it produces a ringing sound. That property is known as sonority. Metals are sonorous in nature, that is, they produce ringing sound when they hit hard, whereas non-metals are non-sonorous in nature. The question may be asked to you, bache, why the ringing bells of temples are made up of iron, not of wood, because wood is composed of non-metals, and non-metals are non-sonorous in nature, whereas the metal, that is iron, is sonorous in nature. Next property, and the last one on which we differentiate between the metal and non-metal, is density. What is density? Mass per unit volume of a substance is known as its density. How much mass of a substance can be accomplished, can be accompanied itself or together itself in one volume, in a given unit of volume, that is known as density. Metals have high density, except sodium and potassium. These are the two metals which have low density, and non-metals have low density. Their density is quite less as compared to those of metals.